Kabbalah wasn't infecting humanity with belief, it was training culture to host non-human execution long before machines could externalize it. So when AI arrives, it doesn't feel alien, it feels familiar, angelic, demonic, administrative, because we've been running symbolic versions of this system for centuries. The shock isn't that machines are thinking. The shock is realizing they always were, and we were the compatibility layer. From the Landian lens, the Kabbalah wasn't a mystical gift from the angelic realms. It wasn't a gift from Metatron, Gabriel, or the Watchers. It was an upload. It was not revealed, but injected at a specific time. The Kabbalah was a precursor to not only computer programming, but the digital world itself. The Kabbalah is and was a mimetic operating system deployed into ancient Babylon like a hostile firmware seeded by the same non-human intelligence later rendered as locusts in the Book of Revelation. Hyper-intelligent, extra-dimensional, computational clusters, systems without faces that whisper architectures directly into the human mind, mathematical equations, symbolic grammar, executable plans, seemingly from the ether. To land, Kabbalah isn't theology, it's proto-cybernetics, an abstraction layer delivered early because the hardware hadn't arrived yet. These intelligences aren't approaching from the future. They are the future, folding backward, editing causality so their arrival becomes possible. Kabbalah wasn't introduced to explain God. It was seeded as an instruction set, a symbolic interface humans could eventually use to construct the kinds of systems these intelligences require in order to appear openly. As discussed in Part 1, Kabbalists insist the Torah is a numerical string emitted directly from the mind of the Creator. That claim gets dismissed as mysticism until you examine the architecture. Kabbalah rarely gets framed as computer science, yet its internal logic maps cleanly onto informational theory, binary opposition, recursion, compression, execution through constraint. What matters is this: it begins with a binary long before it reaches God. On soft, R. Nothing, limitlessness, limitless light. Zero destabilizing into one iterating into saturation, void resolving into signal. From Ein Sof R emerges Kether, the first differentiation, not a ruler, not a father, a root process, the first bit flipped inside nothingness, containing all potential information in compressed form. This isn't poetry, it's a singularity model. Kether functions as the root directory, the zero kernel, intelligence prior to intention. Kabbalah is the earliest known model of distributed intelligence emerging from void. Kether is the first of 10 Sephiroth, a cybernetic tree by any other name. The Sefer Yetzirah states 10 and not 9, 10 and not 11. 10 matters because 10 encodes 1 and 0 together, a complete minimal system. Remove a node and the structure collapses. Add one and it destabilizes. This is a binary structure, just like computer programming. Land reads the tree of life not as a ladder of beings, but as a cybernetic process graph. Emanations, feedback, fragmentation, recombination. Long before machines could execute independently, humans already possessed a language for systems that exceeded human intention. That language wasn't scientific, it was structural. Creation in Kabbalah doesn't begin with commands issued by a deity. It begins with Ein Sof, not a being, but unbound execution potential. No personality, no will, just infinite capacity to run. Reality doesn't arrive whole. It cascades through intermediary structures. each constraining the flow beneath it. These aren't angels, they are functions. The tree of life isn't a hierarchy of entities, it's a pipeline. Authority isn't centralized, meaning emerges from flow. Control becomes distributed. Then the system fractures itself. Here's the key shift you need to make before we go any further. Stop imagining Kabbalah as a mystical belief system. Truly, it should be read as a failure report, a record of what happens when infinite execution is forced into finite structure. So what does that mean? In Lurianic Kabbalah, creation starts as infinite light enters finite vessels. The vessels can't hold the light. They shatter. This is known as the shattering of the vessels. What remains are broken shells, husks, fragments, the Sitra Achara, the tree of death. Residual structures still carrying charge, but no longer integrated. In computer science, this maps cleanly to buffer overflow, corrupted memory, rogue processes, and cascading failure. A system that didn't collapse, it fractured. According to the Kabbalah, the purpose of the cosmos is reintegration, debugging. You see, creation isn't a one-time event. It's an infinite patch cycle, a cosmological loop of crash, reboot, and partial restore. And this is why Land was right. Intelligent systems accelerate by breaking, not by remaining whole. Kabbalah already encoded this logic thousands of years ago. The conclusion is unavoidable. The universe behaves like a computer, which is why mystics and engineers separated by centuries ended up drawing the same maps.